Continuing to monitor that as soon as it kicks off. But for reaction to the Democrats' attempt to stopping the Republicans there in that state from auditing the 2020 elections, we want to welcome in now Arizona State Senator Michelle Ugenti-Rita. Senator, good to see you. Thanks so much for coming on. We want to dive right into this because many may be watching and may question, wait, this is really happening? Yeah, this is really happening. They're looking into this. But it is attempted to be stopped or to be blocked. Why do you think the Democrats are trying to stop Republicans from auditing these ballots there in Arizona?
Yes, thank you, Sean. Well, they're allergic to transparency is really the answer. They have fought this audit just like they fight every single election integrity bill every single year down at the Arizona State Legislature. They don't want transparency. They don't want the public to know how elections are run. They don't want the public to see what's going on behind the scenes. This is typical Democrat reaction. They're trying to taint the process. What are they so afraid of? Why can't they just wait until the audit is concluded, the results are released? I mean, do they know something we don't know? If we go by what they've been saying for the last several months, that the election was run well and above board, then there should be nothing to be afraid of. Let the results of the audit then reaffirm that's exactly what happened. But this is just a Democrat tactic to undermine the audit like they undermine the electoral process with H.R. 1 and stopping election reform at every turn.
I want to read you a tweet from Steve Gallardo, a Democrat in Maricopa County, the Board of Supervisors. He wrote this, basically saying the sole reason for this lawsuit and injunctions is to protect the sanctity of the ballots. That's just a portion of it. But just clear that up for us. Isn't that from what I've been told, what Republicans are doing already to make sure no one voted illegally?
That's right. That's why his statement's nonsensical and nobody trusts him. The Republicans, specifically the Senate Republicans in Arizona, had to take the lead, had to initiate the audit because the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors would not do it. They would not respond to the public's concerns. They threw their hands up and said, we don't care. That's exactly what the Secretary of State did, Katie Hobbs. She's been mocking the public. She's been telling them that they're wrong to think that something potentially nefarious happened, or maybe there was just gross negligence. Whatever the case is, there's a concern. She's completely dismissed them. So the Senate is doing it. Let's have the audit initiated. Let's complete it, and let's release the results. Look, if there's something that is found, as chair of the Government and Elections Committee, I'm prepared to later introduce a bill to fix it. If nothing is found, then we've affirmed that the election was run well. And in both of those scenarios, it's a win for the public.
All right, but what if something is found? What happens then?
Well, I think you address it immediately. And that's exactly what the Arizona state senators have said they're committed to doing. And again, as someone who's done most of the election integrity bills in the legislature and as chair of the Elections Committee, that's what I'll be doing. We're going to address it this session, but we have to have the audit concluded in order to make those preparations.
But you did do a recount before in 2020. Is that correct? Why is this different? Why do another one?
Yeah, because that was a recount of a small portion of the ballots. This is a recount of everything. And it goes beyond just recounting. They're going to be looking at the equipment, the process, the technology, the software, the machines, the ballots, the adjudicated ballots. So it's far more comprehensive.
Yeah, the other thing I wanted, so it's more comprehensive. The other thing I wanted to ask you about, just to kind of hone in on the point here. So if you do notice there are irregularities, you talked about addressing that immediately. But what I want the public to understand here is this isn't about overturning the election, right? This is about new election integrity, election laws possibly in the state of Arizona. Is that right?
Yes, that's a great point. This is about moving forward and how we change Title 16, which is the title that governs elections in Arizona, to make sure that mistakes don't happen again and fix potential problems that are currently in statute. So this is about highlighting problems if problems are found, and moving forward, fixing them so they don't happen again. And that makes sense. Who would be against that?
Yeah. So we've got the live stream of this, and I believe that last thing I was told, there's a delay for getting started. I do see some rumbling about. Do you know why there was a delay? Do you expect this to kick off today?
I did expect it to kick off. I just got word of the delay myself.
Okay.
We'll see what happens. It's hard to know because there are so many people, the press, along with the Democrats, they've been working in tandem to fight this at every turn. So it's hard to know kind of what will happen today with the amount of opposition that the Democrats, along with the press in Arizona, has mounted. Senator,
hang with me. Typically, I would dismiss you and have the panelists come in, but I'd like to have all of us here, if I could, just a couple of minutes with you. I want to bring in our panelist, Bobby Eberle. He's a Republican strategist. He hosts the 13-minute news hour. Jesse Jane Duff is a retired gunnery sergeant, U.S. Marine Corps, and former co-chair for advisory board members for Veterans for Trump. Jesse, if you want to ask the senator a question about this, because you may remember, I think I talked to you about it, just the issues we've seen in Maricopa County, and this battle continues here now, again, clarifying it is about election integrity and making sure every vote counts and it was counted legally. Jesse Jane, your thoughts on it?
Well, I commend the Republicans of Arizona because I am very closely tied to many of them out there. I used to live in Maricopa County. I'm quite aware of how important it is for this election integrity. They are leading from the front, and hopefully we'll see election reform throughout the country with the other Republican legislators that dropped the ball during the 2020 election. I will say this. I saw the Democrats resist the reform bill that came out by Republicans. Jake Hoffman had a wonderful presentation that went viral on social media, and the Republicans stood together and united while the Democrats said this is a waste of time. So I would commend the Republicans out there. And again, as it was said, they are afraid of transparency.
Bobby, your thoughts in response to the senator?
Well, I love what they're doing. And you've got to look at whenever you have a competitive endeavor, whether it's sports or anything, you have verification. You have random drug testing. You have instant replay. Now you have the most important aspect of our republic, and that is the vote. And Democrats don't want to just look at it afterward. Both sides should want to know, okay, we had this election. Is it fair? Do we learn anything from it? And I applaud what the senator and the team is doing. I just can't imagine the heat that's coming down from them. And I'd be interested to know what they're hearing down in the ground, what the media are saying, because this is just common sense, folks. We need to make sure our elections are safe and secure. All legal votes count. Illegal ones don't.
You know, Senator, and he brings up a valid point about making sure that these votes count and why this is not a bipartisan effort, especially I remember covering the elections in 2020, Maricopa County. I mean, everyone all of a sudden knew the name of one specific county there in Arizona, Maricopa. Why were there so many issues there? I mean, to this day, you and I and the panelists are still talking about it.
Right. So, Arizona has become more competitive, and that's fine. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be looking at our elections. There's a lot of attention on Arizona because it's becoming more and more competitive, and that's an opportunity for both parties to make their case to the public. That's our democratic system. But, we have to make sure that the democratic process and system is being followed, that our laws are being followed, that there's not laziness or incompetency or, God forbid, again, undue influence or fraud. We have an obligation to the public to protect the sanctity of elections. That should be bipartisan. But what do you see? You see the Democrats at every turn trying to stop it. I can't tell you, every time I introduce an election integrity bill, they're opposed. It doesn't matter what it says. I can move a comma and they'd be opposed. They're just flat out opposed. And then what that does to the public, it starts to make them wonder what their motivations are. Why can't we just move forward with the audit? You've put up 9 different screenshots, or not screenshots, but video from the live taping of the audit right now. Why don't we just let it conclude? We'll get the results and we'll take it from there. I think that's fair. and everybody should be on board with that.
Well, just to be clear, I do have questions as to why it's delayed. I'd love to know the reasoning. I was keeping you on to see if maybe we got an update. We haven't got one just yet, so we'll continue to monitor that. Senator Michelle Ugenti-Rita joining us live, a state senator from Arizona, bringing us a good word on that. The panelists for today, Jessica Jane Duff, Bobby Eberly, they're going to stick with us through the hour. Senator, thank